Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to, kick off day 2. And, I'll just take off from where Sridhar left. I think it's a great forum for us to actually both formally and informally exchange ideas. So in a sense, when we're on a panel, it's a little bit more formal. But I think like we did most of the sessions yesterday, we'll start off with a discussion amongst ourselves, and I think the real value of that will get added when, people here have an opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. I think switching gears a little bit from yesterday, we talked about, what is entrepreneurship, what is leadership, what are perspectives, how can different people look at the same thing and come to different conclusions. I think today we are going to touch the heart of what creates success, and that is how do you market ideas and how do you make ideas relevant to your customers. And for this, we've got, 3 very eminent, very successful people in their own way, doing different things, we're going to hear from them, how do you market a product, how do you market a service, how do you market a product and a service. So rather than my introducing the panel, I'm going to request each of them to take not more than 2 minutes, first to simply share what business they are in, and then we'll take it on from there in terms of, so how did the idea germinate, how did they market the idea, and so on. So let me start with furthest out, Meenakshi. If you could just, share with all of us in 2 minutes, and we're going to be sticklers for time. In fact, if I can take 1 minute before this, there was a thought that today is a Saturday, people will come late, so let's wait. And, I felt, and all of us actually felt, that we can't penalize the people who've shown up here on time and wait for those others who are going to delay all of us. So, one of the things I think that I have learned is whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you work as a professional anywhere else, I think that discipline which says if something has to begin on a certain time, the deadlines, the dates, the commitments we make are very, very critical and very important. What I took away yesterday, for example, from one of the sessions where we saw the dance performance, I think to me, every time I see a sports person or an artist, what comes across to me is the sheer discipline with which they work. So, with that, I'm not going to take any more time and hand over to Meenakshi to tell us about the business she does. And we'll, and then we'll go to the others, Smriti and Pushpita. Yeah.
Thanks, Vineeta. My company, Spatial Access, is a media auditing and advisory company. Now, what does Spatial Access do? In a sense, we help advertisers look at the kind of ROI that they're getting out of their marketing investments. Like Vineeta said, marketing is fundamental to building brands, building organizations. And most companies today have a fairly sizable amount of money that they spend on advertising. Now, advertising has a role to play both in terms of providing information as well as changing attitudes and behaviors. And what my company does is measure the kind of impact that marketers are getting and helps marketers to try and reduce the amount of wastage that they would otherwise get out of their marketing investments. Now, the interesting thing is that my company basically works with what is the traditional definition of marketing, which is mass media, spending crores of rupees on, advertising, making films, so on and so forth. But we are also working with marketing, which is less traditional, where you're not looking at spending megabucks, but you're still looking at building brands. And in a sense, that's the focus of what we do. I've been 30 years in the advertising, marketing, and communications industry, and I've seen this business from all aspects. I've worked for many years for companies, and finally, 7 years ago, decided to set up on my own. I think I've kept your time limit.
Fantastic. Excellent. Excellent. So from marketing media services to let's talk about handbags.
Hi, I'm Pushpita Gaur. I'm an accessory designer. I design handbags and footwear. I'm a graduate from NIFT Delhi, and I've been in the leather industry for the last 10 years. My brand, Murcia, which does handbags and footwear, is available at all high street stores like a Lifestyle, Central, Pantaloon across the country. We also do a lot of online selling of my handbags and accessories. And I believe all the bags that you guys are carrying are all from Murcia. So I really hope you like them. And we'll take it from there. Thanks.
Excellent. So handbags, I think we saw a sample of those handbags yesterday for sure. Okay, so from handbags, let's get to flowers.
Hi everybody, I'm Smriti Dalvi. I'm a software engineer and I sell flowers. Well, started this about 8 years back after being in the software industry for 14 years. And we sell flowers across 30 outlets in about 13 cities today. And we're also into online gifting space where people can order for flowers over the phone and over the email and over the web. So that's what I am right now. Thank you.
Great, we're doing excellent on time. So now to the burning question of, you've got an idea. So how did you go about, making it known that this was your idea? And how did that idea actually become a business? One of the things that we're going to do here is to say that, from the three people you've heard, Meenakshi's business definitely is more B2B. I think her clients or her customers are really companies that spend money advertising, whereas some of the other businesses are really more direct to the consumer. But I think each of you, when you set up or you decided to set up on your own, must have gone through this thing of, how do I make this idea known? So would you share a little bit of, so when you said, okay, I'm going to sell flowers, how did you go about thinking about what is marketing?
Frankly speaking, the first and foremost thing we said, this is such an unorganized industry. When I said 8 years back, how do I make my product look different than the local florist who sells flowers, across the road where he has absolutely no overheads? So we said, let's bring in some discipline in place where people start perceiving us to be different so that we can actually price our product differently. So what happened was we brought in certain systems in place where we said, my floral artist who's actually creating the floral arrangement, I said, let's get him trained from a professional. So we got the artist trained so that he makes, even if it's a 100-rupee arrangement, it should look really different, by adding an interesting element to it. So that's where we started concentrating on the product per se. Secondly, we said we have to be seen in the right place. We never had any budgets for marketing in the beginnings, but we said we have to be present where a lot of people are actually noticing us and seeing that, yeah, we are different from, somebody else who's actually selling flowers on the road. So we invested in the huge rentals that, spaces where you have high visibility was actually offering. So we went into Phoenix Mills in Lower Parel in 2004 by paying a heavy rental when we know we couldn't afford it. And, probably focusing that, yes, this is going to be my marketing cost because I'm going to be seen by 1,000 people who's going to be coming to the mall. And actually, I can showcase something that I'm doing, to these 1,000 people. So that's how we, put it forward at that point of time.
Great. What I heard Smriti say is really it's about how do you make your product different. If you were reading a marketing textbook, we'd hear about differentiated products. But that's exactly what you did. How did you did the same idea work for you in what you were trying to do? And how did you interpret it, to sell the leather accessories that you design and market?
See, Vinita, when you enter any high street store, when you enter any accessory section in that store, you'll see there are just 4 or 5 brands because every store allocates that 5 or 6 wall spaces to display your accessories. And brands across the country are fighting for those spaces. So that is what I was pitted against. If my product had to be good, if my product had to sell, if my product had to be noticed, I had to fight amongst those 5 brands, which were available in the stores. Having said that, the 5 other brands that I was pitted against were, 100 crore brands. They had huge funds, they had, unlimited resources to spend on print media, on, visual media, to do anything to market their brands. I could not spend that kind of money, on promoting my brand. So, as Smriti said, my first focus was my product. Here was a product, Murcia, which decided to go the colorful way, the funky way, to the youth, to the younger crowd, and to create something which is different. Because as soon as one thinks of leather, maybe one thinks of boring blacks and browns. Here we decided to go colors in leather. And that just hit off, So now we are in demand in every store. People approach us and say that, okay, we want your brand in our stores. So, yeah, so that's why, we differentiated the product, number one. And number two, we didn't have the funds to fight against these brands. We didn't have the funds to go to a print media and say, okay, we're going to spend lakhs on giving, ads in a Vogue or an Elle or something which is like really expensive. But we realized that we can, beat the system in small ways. If we are, instead of giving a print ad, which people just flip through, we decided to do contests, where we sponsored the bags. So, the cost of 10 bags was nothing compared to, 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs that one had to spend on a print ad. So that's how we promoted our brand, through using the same conventional methods, but in a different way, using it to your advantage. So product and using conventional methods, but in a different way, is how we decided to promote Murcia.
Meenakshi, your business is somewhat different in the sense that a lot of your clients are large companies. So how did you go about thinking about marketing, and how did you approach it, especially, from the time that you branched off on your own, because I'm sure your competitive set was a whole lot of other companies that, perhaps even you yourself had worked for earlier. So how do you think about marketing in what you do?
Vinita, it's interesting, but when I came into this session, I was like really wondering what are the similarities across the kind of businesses that you have on stage today, a florist business, a handbag business, high-end consulting business. But listening to Smriti and Pushpita talk, what I've realized is that there is already a common thread that's coming through. Okay, she talked about a 100-rupee bouquet looking like it has value. Okay, she talked about an identity. And basically, it's the design and the identity and the definition of who you stand, which is common to all our businesses. So as an entrepreneur, for me, the starting point was, what do I stand for? And if I know what I stand for, then I know what I need to say. And once I was clear in terms of what I stand for, then I knew what I needed to say to my consumers. And like you said, because mine is a B2B business, it basically gets down to a one-on-one conversation with somebody. But for that conversation to help build a brand, there has to be a sustained conversation. And whether it's me speaking about the company or my colleague speaking about the company, everyone has to say the same thing. Because at the end of the day, that's then, what my product stands for, because there's no tangible product. So in that sense, it's consistency of a message, and a message that cuts across everybody in the organization, which helps you actually, build an identity for yourself.
Great. So I think what I'm also going to attempt to do is at the end of every few minutes, try and sort of summarize what I think I've got of it. I think Meenakshi did a very good job right now of saying, irrespective of whether you're selling a product or a service, I think as an entrepreneur, frankly, as professionals, all of us have to be very clear what it is that we stand for, why is it of relevance to the consumer, and what do you have to do consistently to build that credibility? Because all three are important. And I think in all three cases that we've heard, there was an idea, there was a germination of an idea, and then there was this whole thing of how do I put that idea together? I also want to turn the attention on another thing which says, oftentimes when people use the word marketing, we think of advertising, we think of television media, and we say, oh my God, where am I going to get the funds to compete with the people who are there? And we've heard, in fact, all three of our panelists talk about the fact that advertising is not about mass media, it is about communicating in a relevant manner with your target audience. But I think marketing is more than that. In a sense, one could think of a definition of marketing which is the ability to spot an opportunity in the marketplace and then figure out a way of commercializing that opportunity. So I want to look at marketing with a big M. And again, turn to you. And by the way, please ask each other questions as well. I don't want to be the only question asker on the panel. So having said that, let me ask my next question. Is when you decided that you were going into this business, what did you have to do to actually scale up? Because one thing is to have an idea, the other thing is to say, I'm going to do it in one market. You just mentioned that your business operates in 30 outlets and 30 different markets. So what did you have to do to scale it up?
Sure. When we started 8 years back, it was just one single store that we started with just probably 4 employees that we had at that point of time. Now, I never knew at that point of time, what is it going to take for me? I never made a plan for a year, 2 years, 3 years. We started it as one store saying that let us see how this store moves. Okay? And we realized that the store really picked up very, very well. Not only retail, we realized that people who wanted to buy flowers, they would come to the store once, pick up the flowers, and later on they would just make a phone call and place an order because they realized it's very convenient for them sitting in their homes by placing a call. They can actually get their flowers delivered to anywhere in the city. So then we realized we don't have to be in a retail space where we have to take orders over the phone. So we split the retail space and we started a small back office where I had 3 people put in saying that, why don't you take orders over the phone? So there was something that evolved, after, 6 months into the business where we realized we are getting a huge, some part of orders which is coming, which is not, by the walk-in sales. So that's how it started. So when I have 3 people sitting there, who's ready to take phones, I said, let's target people and tell them, okay, why don't you place an order over the phone? You don't need to walk into my stores. So we started contacting corporate houses because we realized corporates are the ones who had huge requirements for flowers and they really don't have the time to come, go to a place and they would probably pick it up from a local florist. But when they had the opportunity and an option of ordering for flowers over the phone, they just lapped it up. So we started doing, corporate tie-ups with banks, construction companies, and that worked very well. Later on, we realized the volumes that we were kind of handling, it was very difficult to handle it, manually. So we said, let's get into some systems in place. So we developed an order management software. Since I come from a software background, created a functional specification because we knew exactly what we need to, take on, what is the kind of data that we need to, store up so that, the same set of team members can handle a higher volume, than, using manual systems. So that worked very, very well. And with one retail store, we automatically got noticed, and there was, a suburban mall in Mumbai who approached us, said, why don't you open up a second outlet? The kind of presentation that we had in Phoenix, they actually thought, we were an international brand. The kind of systems that we had put in place out there, consistency in communication, a very systematic order form, the team who are in uniform. And we said when we are starting a delivery service, we said let the delivery boy wear neat and clean uniform with the Floristal logo. And when he's handing over the flowers to a recipient, let him wear white gloves. Now, it doesn't cost much to buy cotton white gloves, but it means a lot, to the recipient of the flowers. So we started getting orders even from the recipient of the flowers. Hey, where did this come from? We also realized that if the boys travel first class, that's again a cost to us, that if the boys travel first class in their neat and clean uniform, we realized people started asking them, where are you coming from? Can I have your card? So our cards started moving even in first class compartments of the train. So all our delivery boys travel in first class, today. So that is, where we kind of moved. And it just, went on that way.
Do you have something?
That's such a lovely insight, about the boy traveling first class and people asking. And that's what actually I've found, because ultimately it's your product that becomes an endorsement for you. Mm-hmm. Sure. And in my experience, consistency. very often what happens is you go through these highs and lows. So there's a time when you invest a lot of time and effort in building your brand and talking to people, and then, it builds momentum, and then you let off. But that's something that I've found personally in my business that is dangerous. You've got to have this consistency, So if you're going to be making 10 phone calls a week, stick to 10 phone calls a week. Don't let it come down to 5 phone calls a week, because suddenly the momentum just dies out.
Yeah, that's great. What about, what did you have to face when you were scaling up and, creating a back end that was the right back end to support what you were doing in the front end of your business?